All right, thanks, folks, for joining us again on a Veterans to Veterans Group Family Through Service V2VG video podcast.
You screwed up.
I screwed up
again. It's been
again.
a while.
It's been a little while since we did this. So we're here interviewing a Korean War veteran and his lovely wife. Chuck, take it away for us.
I'm terrible with names. I know it's John. What's your last name?
Kimball.
Kimball, with a B. Kimball.
L-L,
Yep,
yes.
okay. And Arlene Kimball, right?
Arylyne.
Ooh, fancy. So, yes, as Eric said, we're with this amazing Marine who has served during the Korean War, and his amazing wife, and kind of found them on accident through one of our thrift store board members. So I haven't shut up about you. I know I already said this, but I've talked so much about you guys, and for the first time for us, we just want to hear your story. We're not going to put any time limits on it. We want to hear about your time in, what made you decide to join the Marines, anything you're willing to talk about while you were in Korea. I know you got a really interesting story about when you were a drone instructor, and then get some perspective on your wife and how she feels in her time of living with you and things she's had to cope with or adapt to, because all three of us are combat veterans. We all know we don't come back the same way we went into. So
it's not easy to say, hey, tell us your story. Right?
So,
especially when you've had a long life and you've got a lot of stories to tell. Right? So what stands out to you as something you want to tell this generation coming up? What are some life lessons that you folks would like to share with this generation coming up that you've learned in your time in service with the Marine Corps and to the service to this nation? And you're a Korean War veteran, and like Chuck was saying, everybody talks about World War II, talks about Vietnam. The Korean War, a lot of people watch MASH, right? The TV show MASH, and they say, oh, World War II. No, MASH was not about World War II. It's about the Korean War.
Okay.
So what's something that really stands out to you?
Well,
sir?
when I started out, I was in 1932 born, and my father was killed when I was 6 weeks old.
Oh, man.
And I grew up in a bad house, and I spent my early years in a two-room schoolhouse for 6th grade. Went to college for high school for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then I quit, escaped out of my house, ran away from home.
Escaped, yeah.
And went on my own.
Yeah.
At a very early age. I spent 3 years when I ran away from home at local restaurants, working as a pot licker, dishwasher.
Yeah.
Worked my way out to the counter, and luckily I had some people that I served very well in the morning and whatsoever. And I did that for 3 years, and I came into 17, and I joined the
Marine Corps.
No, not Marine Corps, was the
John, tell them that the guys paid for you to get into the Marine Corps.
I joined what is that, military people in the country.
Oh, like the JROTC?
Yeah, ROTC.
No.
The military, like the military academies?
No, normal. Every state has them.
A National Guard?
National Guard.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
I went into the National Guard.
Yeah.
And then, coming on to my 16th birthday, I was able to join them.
You joined at 16?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And things were not going good.
Right.
I didn't live with my family. I was gone from there.
Right.
And so,
which state, sir?
Pardon?
Which state? I'm sorry to interrupt. Maine. Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Maine.
Right.
And I thought, well, okay, I'll join the Army.
Right.
And so I went down for inspection or whatever you call it.
Mm-hmm.
And they said they would not take me because I had some medical problem, whatever. And so several weeks later, I went into the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, well, you're going to have your tonsils out for us to take you.
Okay.
And I said, all right. And I had no money.
Right.
Yet I had a lot of people in the restaurants that I worked at. And they chipped in for me to go to the hospital in Maine. I had my tonsils out, and I signed up for the Marine Corps.
Prior to signing up. That's what you were referring to,
Yeah,
ma'am.
before, yeah, all these guys liked him so well
Wow.
that they got together, put money in the pot so he could get his tonsils out. So he.
That's
could-
amazing.
And Eric and I know how expensive dental work is, so.
And they did that for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I was very pleased with it.
I bet.
Now, at this stage of the game, this is around December,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember getting aboard train and heading for Paris Island.
Okay.
And interesting enough, in New York City, we stopped, and I was all alone in the car.
Right.
And at that point, the car filled up with a bunch of women, and they're going to Paris Island. What are you girls doing going with the Marines?
Right.
To take care of you young boys.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was an interesting trip.
Yeah.
And I arrived in Paris Island approximately 1st of December. And everybody was gone. It was
Yeah.
a holiday. And so I just sat around waiting until 1st of the year. So I started my training in January.
Okay. So you sat around for a while.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Uh,
Jeez.
Do you remember how cold it was? And I also went to Paris Island, but I went late in January, and a lot of people don't realize how cold it can get in South Carolina.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't. That didn't hit me. I don't recall that.
He's from Maine. There you go.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
That's
That's
true.
true.
Yeah.
But it gets really cold. Not snow cold, but definitely ground frozen cold in January, February. So a lot of people don't realize that when they hear Paris Island. But
It's just hot all the time.
I never worried about it because even leading up to that, the 3 restaurants I worked at in Lewiston and Auburn, Maine, some of it was outdoors, like the Lobster House.
Oh, I
Okay.
see. Yeah.
I'm cleaning up in each one of those, washing dishes in another one.
so it
And
may
so-
have been like going to a beach for you, going down there.
You were fine.
I
As
was
far as the
out,
weather
I
goes.
was gone.
Yeah.
I didn't have a family. I didn't want.
Yeah,
a
you were
family.
taking
Yeah.
care of yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
So joining the Marine Corps was the next logical step for you. You wanted to what? Here's a question that I know a lot of our viewers and people want to know. Why did you want to join the military? What was it that drove you to join the
Get the hell out of what I was
to
doing.
leave to get the hell out?
Yeah.
And we
mean,
know people.
We know people
have
that
done
that's
that,
your
yeah.
just
It
go.
was an out.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
out.
it was an
Okay.
out. I had no idea about military.
But you knew it would get you away.
I didn't even know that.
But
And-
okay,
We
yeah.
were just hopeful it would get you away.
Something.
Yeah.
I was-
It's a guaranteed paycheck.
I had a family in one of the restaurants. Our family had taken me in. They had 3 or 4 children,
Yeah,
and I worked early in the morning till late at the evening.
yeah.
And then this family took me in and let me sleep in the living room.
Well, that's a work
Wow.
ethic that you had.
Yeah,
sir,
yeah.
that you
I-
developed.
Yeah, because I didn't have any desire to be in my family.
Right. Well, you ran away, so that
Yes.
tells you right there.
Yeah.
So, what was your experience like in base boot camp in Marine Corps?
Now that's a hell of a story, because I recently, coming back probably 4 or 5 years ago, 10 years ago, somewhere in that neighborhood, I got a hold of some books on Marine Corps,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
military officers
Yeah.
writing about their experiences in the Corps. So what they said and what I experienced is two different things.
Yes.
I guess so. Right.
Very different.
Right.
But anyway, I got into Paris Island,
Right.
and the drill instructors were all on vacation because it was Christmas. And so I'm just in the room with a bunch of other people waiting for this thing to get started.
Sure.
So January came and we met our DI. And I remember, if you've been Paris Island, you know that the buildings down there are like a H,
Yes.
okay? And in the middle, you got a bunch of stuff in the middle. The barracks are on the outside.
Yep.
And it's long. So that was my home. And I remember we were standing there waiting for our DI, and he came through the center, and he started out going around and hearing him say, who are you, what are you, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, yeah.
And went around, and I remember him coming around on my side, and he said, any prior military service, boy? And I said, yes, sir. And he says, what, Girl Scouts? No, sir, the National Guard. Wham! And I'm on the floor. And he had smacked me so goddamn hard. That was my introduction to my drill instructor. And now we go down the road, and what was going on in there is unbelievable.
Yeah.
What they did to us as recruits. It just says, time to wash your clothes. So pick up one piece,
Yep.
go over the top of the rack next to you, underneath the one beyond, and then go around from the front to the back and out to where you're going to wash your clothes, drop your piece, go back in and get another one.
Obstacle course. Right. For
Well,
every piece.
inside
For one
the
piece.
obstacle course.
For every single individual piece.
Yeah, and that was how we washed our clothes. That was one piece. And this is enough where we got people at night they were crying,
Yeah.
and they were smacking us around. You wanted to fall out? Now the building is an H, right? Upstairs, downstairs, and connecting on the lower floor.
Yeah.
And when you fall out, you grab your rifle and away you go, and you go out one door. And you go out as fast as you can.
Mm-hmm.
And so the lead guys with their rifle butts will take the screen right off the door. And so somebody else puts it in. And I can remember going out of that place time after time after time until one day as we went out of that damn place. And Bill and Brennan started to take their whip, their, what do you call it, a...
Swagger stick.
What?
Swagger stick.
Not a swagger stick, but a...
Is it like a riding crop or something?
Yeah, a stick. And they'd whack you as you went. And they would call... They'd four groups.
Yep.
One upstairs, one downstairs, on the other side, upstairs, downstairs. When you went out, you were talking about a couple of 100 yards.
Oh.
All two doors. And then they say, well, you fall out on the other side of the sidewalk, on the parade field. Okay? Always they would have somebody on the way to chow down. And at about the time that they passed your door, you were falling out. You came out of there, and your job was to go on the other side of that group and fall in. And it was a mayhem.
Oh, I bet.
I mean, it was terrible.
Yeah, just a
And-
cluster.
Swagger sticks.
Yep.
And they're beating the hell out of the guys, getting out of the room. And that went on for several days until an officer was coming in one morning. And I can remember I was closer to the door than some of them. And I can remember we hit that top door, and here's an officer with his bars on and all that crap, scared the living bejeebus out of them because they ran over him.
Well, yeah.
No stopping.
No, don't stop.
So that was my introduction to the Marine Corps.
Welcome to the United States Marine Corps.
Oh yeah, it was hell to pay.
Well, it's different now, but I think the concept is the same because you got these young kids going in there and they don't know what to expect. But it's not like that anymore, for better and worse.
Well, that's what I said. I've been reading recently. You go back into some officers that are, telling the tale, and we say, boy, what I went through is not what these guys are seeing now.
Right. And it's across the military, sir. It's across the board.
And all I can do was what the Corps was.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, and the Corps has always had a more difficult basic, boot camp than the other branches. It's been the Corps, then the Army, and then the other branches typically have a less extreme, basic training boot camp thing, experience, but it's a lot less now. But the mental aspect has been increased. So they, it's different now, but you went through when it was
tough.
It was tough.
It was damn
mental
tough.
and physical.
I can remember at Parade Field
Yeah.
falling in right in the very beginning when the DIs came in from Christmas, and they're going through the people in inspection.
Yeah.
And I remember coming up and you're asking, questions.
Sure.
Uniform, or what you're doing, or whatever. Came to me and he says, you shaved? No, sir. What, why not? I don't have to, sir. Pulls out a damn magnifying glass, a pair of tweezers, and just chucks me out.
Yep.
See me after hours. After hours, I remember walking into his room, standing on back his door, and he's sitting in front of me. His racks are over here, and he's looking at me, and he said, "Okay, you didn't shave, all right." He hands me a damn bucket, puts it on my head, puts a blanket on over the bucket. And he says, "Get on your damn belly and get underneath my rack. You get down here, and here's a razor. You sing the Marine Corps hymn, and you shave, and you kick your feet at the same time."
Oof.
Wow.
I think of that one almost every day of my life. That was, and I've been to the hospital several times, and there's no way you can stop me from going in and getting a shave. I will shave no matter what.
I've never seen him without a shave.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess
well-
with an experience like that, Arlene.
Yeah.
70 years and I've
Yeah.
never seen him without a shave.
When you get an experience like that, sir, yeah.
And that's why they do the things that they do is to instill. And your situation is far more traumatic than anybody today joining the military. But there is a method to their madness. There's a reason why.
Oh yeah, I mean it's
worked.
training. Remember the 3 guys that were killed in the going through the swamp down there?
No.
You never saw that?
No.
And several, a few years after my time there were three guys. One was he was a broadcaster, wasn't he, Eileen?
He was the son of some famous man.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
major.
Oh, in boot camp?
Yeah.
I think I remember reading about that, and that started some changes
Yes, it did.
because it was
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
was in
he
the same
put in a
event.
swamp.
Yeah. I read about that in a Military Times issue of one of the newspapers that they put out, and that started some changes.
Yes,
for boot camp.
it did.
Too late for them, but
One guy writes at night. You could hear the guys in their racks crying,
yeah.
No.
and they were hurting. And evidently, I had run away from home, so I had nobody to talk to or to complain to. And I can remember somebody writing home to his family. The DIs walk in, everybody's there, and they read what this kid wrote to his family wrote back to the Marine Corps, and
Ooh.
all they did was give. I mean, that guy went through hell after that.
Yeah, that's not a good idea to do that. Yeah.
It was
Don't
terrible.
write about that. Yeah.
So that was we went through. We did not have any rifle training. It was 90 days, I think I was in the Corps. We went, and I was out, and then I went to Camp Lejeune.
Okay.
And I remember going into Lejeune, and we started, this is about March or April.
That's 9 days. Yeah. Yeah.
And we're going through some training there. And I can remember, I thought it was 29 Palms.
That's one that's in California.
No, this was in Lejeune.
Camp Geiger?
There was a hill outside the parade field, and there was several facilities where you could go out and get a drink, bars.
Yep.
And there was probably 6 or 7 of them, and they went up from the bottom to the top of a small hill. Get to Lejeune, you get out at the evening, you go over to the bar, get one drink, come out, go to the next bar, and you go to get your ass knocked off.
See how far you can make it?
Ambulances were running late in the evening into 11, 12 o'clock at night. And in the morning, first morning, they come out, and the controllers come out, sergeants and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And they're looking and they're saying, oh, you got a black eye. That's good. Over here, what did you do? You didn't do anything? And the ambulances were running from early evening to 11 or 12 o'clock at night when they finally shut down.
Oh.
And they'd go through, and half of us would be beat to hell.
Yeah.
And that was training in Lejeune for, I was there until about April, May, somewhere in there.
Yep.
Next thing I know, I'm on a train to San Diego. Got into San Diego, went up to Pendleton. The next thing I know, I got a chance to go to Tijuana.
Did you go?
I went, but my watch wasn't working.
Ah.
And I went into a jeweler and gave them the watch. And by the time I got out and got a drink or whatever for them to fix, I was out. The next day I was on a boat to the Pacific Ocean. And that was my introduction to military.
So he got your watch?
No, I didn't get my watch.
No, he got your watch.
Yeah, whatever.
The jeweler, whoever it was.
Yeah, at the jewelry store.
Yeah. That sucks.
But tell him what happened when you came back.
Well,
from the war.
I'll get there.
So, what was your job? What was your actual job title? What were you training to be before you went?
Well, I did not get any rifle training.
That fascinates me.
Yeah, out of boot camp. We didn't go to a rifle range. We didn't go there. We just did a whole lot of running and fighting and gassing.
Oh, yes.
All kinds of crap going on.
Like hand to hand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that went on. And half the guys that came in did not make it. They were out. And so, and now we got to Pendleton, and I can remember very vaguely or vividly going out at night, and by God, you had to go out there and go to that group of buildings, get a drink, and do it without getting your ass kicked. And it was, the ambulances went up and down there, so all our training was, my God, you'd follow orders.
Regardless.
No matter what.
Yeah.
And the DIs would come out there at Pendleton and say, oh, you got hurt? Okay, that's fine. Oh, on the trip to Japan, what the hell are we doing out here? And I remember we got into Japan, and I remember looking across this dam from the shipyard, looking across this great big expanse, a city, was gone. And there was one building, which was the American ice cream factory, that was in the middle of that city. And then you looked up at the mountains, and here was 3 great big huge tunnels on the side of the mountain, and that was where they had long-range cannon for World War II. And the city had been completely wiped out from where we...
Just done.
Yeah.
Wow.
Boarded a ship at that point, and my assignment now was in the 155 Howitzer Group
Okay.
as a machine gunner.
So you were a machine gunner for artillery. To
Yes.
cover artillery.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what, and so on the way to Korea, we went through a hell of a typhoon.
Ooh.
And
On the ship?
I can remember
Yeah.
emptying out everything in below deck, getting everybody to the top, and tied down. And then we heard these goddamn screeching as the big cannons broke loose.
Oh no.
And you could hear them scraping across and hitting the bulkhead.
And back.
No.
And the ship was going up and down, and unbelievable. Again, I'm not trained in anything at this point.
Yeah.
Nothing. And we got into the center of Korea.
Seoul,
So was it?
No, not Seoul. It was,
48 parallel.
it was the landing. Damn it. Incheon.
I thought it was Incheon, but I didn't want to say because I'm not familiar enough with it. Yeah.
It was Incheon. And I remember very vividly the title in the ocean was the biggest in the world in Incheon.
Yeah.
And it was very hard to get a ship in there and unload it, because halfway through they'd have to pull back out because the ship would get stuck in the mud.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And
because of
that
the
was
tides?
Yeah.
Oh,
the
I
highest
see.
tide in the world.